US diplomats recently met some politicians in Jammu and Kashmir. How are they allowed to do that? Who are they to meet local politicians in foreign countries? Look, diplomats, what is the purpose of having diplomats? What is it that diplomats do? Diplomats are your representatives to a foreign country, and their job is to, from one perspective, to build bridges between the two countries, to ensure that there is a proper flow of communication and messaging between the two countries, to put forth your perspective, your government's perspective, to the host government and its various representatives and organs. And also, the purpose of diplomats is to create a conducive atmosphere and environment in their host country for their own country. Seek out opportunities, talk to people, seek out partners, seek out well wishers, seek out citizens and various industrialists, business people, etc., who are pro India, cultivate them. All of this is part of diplomacy. So, as a diplomat, you certainly can meet politicians. It's part of your daily job. You go, look, I'm not a diplomat. I've never been a diplomat. I'm just saying how I see diplomacy. You create a database essentially of, if you are an Indian diplomat, you create a database of pro-Indian forces and elements in whichever country you are based in, because that can come in handy. Your job is to advance your nation's interests in every possible legal way, hopefully. Okay. Of course, there are military attaches in various embassies. The Americans have a significant number of military attaches and defense attaches in various countries, every single country. When you have a military attaches, etc., many of them are spies, essentially. They're given technical designations. Some are chefs, some are cooks, some are gardeners, some are whatnot, but many of them are actually spies. So that's essentially what diplomacy is. It is something, and it is also something which is not supposed to be. And every nation plays this game. The Israelis have a very clear rule. Okay, if a member of the Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, if a serving member of the IDF accepts a car ride from a car that has diplomatic license plates, that person is court-martialed. Because Israel regards every single foreign diplomat on their territory to be a spy. And I think that is the correct way of looking at it. So, so diplomats, there's nothing wrong with diplomats meeting with various politicians, members of various political parties in the host country, including opposition parties. That is allowed. It is allowed, but of course, it can be seen as interference in internal affairs. And most likely, to some extent, it is. So, what can you do about that is the question. Let's take the case of China. In China, there is no there is no opposition, right? There's only one political party, the Chinese Communist Party. Now, there are some people in China who are kind of, you could say, dissidents is the word they use, who kind of want more freedom, more democracy, etc. And I'm sure the American diplomats, etc., over there would want to meet those people. Are they allowed to meet them? No. The Chinese government ensures that the American diplomats can't meet such people. So why can't India do that? Well, India is not China. China is a whole different category of nation. China is much more powerful than India. China has much more leverage on the US than India. The US economy, the US market is dependent on China, on Chinese exports. The Chinese have a tremendous amount of leverage. The Chinese economy is much larger than India's economy. What leverage does India have on the US that we could be that would allow us to refuse certain things? We right now don't have that much leverage. We have a lot of dependency on the US. Do you understand how it works? At the end of the day, what you can and cannot do depends on the amount of hard power and leverage that you have. So right now, the Americans can get away with all this. They're clearly interfering and meddling in the internal affairs of India. and they can get away with it. And I promise you, look at what the Americans are doing in Europe. They are doing much worse. Look at what they're doing in Japan. They're doing far worse. The Japanese, the Europeans, the Koreans, etc., have to keep quiet and swallow their pride and just bear with it. We are not there. We are in a much better position. Understand this. But yes, this is part of the deal when when you are dealing with a way more powerful nation, a superpower. There are things that you simply have to quietly swallow. And what if India said, no, you are not allowed to meet so and so person? India could have done that. Well, then the Americans would have punished India in a variety of ways, and citizens won't even be able to understand why they have taken such certain actions. But the government of India will understand. So we don't want to antagonize the US. Let them interfere a little bit to some extent. Our job is to quietly get bigger and stronger. That's what. Understand that. So until we become a genuine tiger, we can't behave like a tiger. Right now, we are a cat, a reasonably large house cat, but we are still a cat. We are not the tiger. We have to become a tiger. It will take us 20, 30 years. And the Americans don't want us to become a tiger. They want us to remain a nice little house cat. So that is the push and pull that we are experiencing. There we are.